We are now joined by our second-place finisher, Joey Logano, driver of the number 22 Hertz Ford. Joey, talk a little bit about the race out there today and those final few laps.
Yeah, the first half of the race went perfect. We were able to have a very fast Hertz Mustang that can go out there and, lead a lot of laps, be very, very fast. And as the race went, we came in, put 4 tires on, we lost the lead, and just our car was really tight from there on. I don't really understand why yet, and just try to figure it out and look at our car and see if our adjustment affected something else or what happened there. So try to figure that one out because these nationwide races are so short that, when you put, 4 tires on and it doesn't act just right and you got to put 2 on the next time, it just, you're not able to, have the opportunity to try to fix your car. And, we just stayed tight there the last run. So overall, I mean, it's second. It's, come here expecting to win a lot of times. I have a very fast car normally here, and I did in the beginning of the race. We just lost the handle a little bit in the second half.
Okay, also joining us up here is Chase Elliott, driver of the number 9 Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet, our third-place finisher in today's race and the top finishing rookie. Chase, tell us your thoughts on today's run and the race itself.
Yeah, I was proud and frustrated at the same time. I felt like we had a super fast car really from the get-go, and we were just kind of biding our time that first run and made a mistake of following those guys way too close. That was completely my fault, and drove ourselves into a wreck and got behind and couldn't ever get back up to the front. So had a really good car, though, really from the drop of the green, and the guys did a really just a fantastic job getting it taped back up, in a way that it wasn't the fender wasn't gonna fly apart on us. So they did a good job there, and when we tried to battle as hard as we could, just wasn't enough.
Okay, we'll open it up for questions for both. We'll start up front with Reed.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. First for Joey, did you have a sense out there today of how remarkably similar this race was to what happened in May?
I know I didn't win. I remember that part. That was pretty similar.
Basically, Kyle got the lead on pit road and then led the rest of the race.
Yeah. No, I remember that. Yeah. It was basically a replay of that, except we finished one spot better. And I think I know why. But besides that, yeah, we got beat there off pit road, and then after that he was able to check out. So, I mean, we started, very fast, just like the spring race also. So it was kind of a replay all over again. Just got to, figure out what to do in the second half, seems like.
And for both you and Chase, Kyle said basically that once he got out ahead and could run the bottom, that basically nobody could pass him. He was having trouble passing the 60 and the 2 when he got up to them, in traffic. Did you guys find the same thing, that it was very, very tough to pass today and tough to make up any ground?
Yeah, I'll say for sure. That's. I mean, it's tough to pass every week, and here at Dover, the groove is it's certainly a bottom lane. That lane seems to be the fastest way around, especially when the racetrack rubbers up like it did, and like it always does for that matter. But yeah, it's tough to pass. I mean, Kyle was struggling to run fourth behind me there early on in the race, and he gets out front and nobody can touch him, and Joey's out front, nobody can touch him. And I'd say you could probably say that for a bunch of guys. If you can ever get out front and have yourself just a nice clean restart and get yourself a little bit of a gap, big enough gap to get through lap traffic enough where the guy behind you doesn't catch you, I'd say like Kyle did, you're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah,
I think tomorrow, just to add to that, I think tomorrow will be better with the added horsepower of the Cup cars. It seems like guys move around a lot more up the racetrack and all that. So I think when cars are able to do that, at least you can search and get a little bit of air and be able to pass a little bit better, at least get to cars a little bit better. And when you have not much horsepower, the shortest distance seems to be the best because you don't have a bunch of power to try to bolt down an exit. So I think that's why we see that in nationwide cars.
So you think the top will be more of a factor tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. There'll be cars up against the wall tomorrow.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Bob, then go to Randy.
Bob Pockris, Sporting News. Joey, kind of in that light about tomorrow, I want to say that you said that you thought your car was actually better in traffic than Kyle's. Did I hear that on the radio right?
I think it was because I was tight, and I think, a lot of times when you get in traffic, your car gets free in and free off, and my car was tight, so when I got the traffic, it actually kind of helped me a little bit. I don't go faster, don't get me wrong, it's just I close up the difference between Kyle in traffic and me in traffic. So, it's just setting your car up for dirty air sometimes.
And I guess tomorrow, do you feel like there will be more dirty air? I mean, at the end of this race, there were, 28 cars on the track, and tomorrow you'll have probably about 40 to 42, and expect them probably to be a little bit more competitive.
Yeah, there'll be, exactly. It's just like every other week. There's more cars on the racetrack in the Cup race, and all the cars are more competitive. Even the slow cars are pretty fast. But the flip side of that and the good side of that is that, they're all around the racetrack, in the corners. So you're able to move around and get some clean air. And the car that can move around is probably the guy that's going to be able to pass guys in traffic and get himself up with some spots. If your car is just a one-lane race car that only works in the bottom or the middle, you're probably not going to pass a lot of cars throughout the day. All it takes is one car that runs your lane, and it ruins you. So you got to be able to move around the racetrack to be able to pass cars in traffic, and that's hard to get. There'll probably be 3 or 4 cars that can do that maybe tomorrow, and the rest of them will find the lane that they're fast at, and they'll run that all day.
Okay, we'll now go to Randy.
Yeah, Randy Covert's Kansas City Star. I got one for Chase and a couple for Joey. Chase, can you just talk about you picked up 5 points on your teammate? What is it about contending for this championship with and against your teammate? Can you talk about how that works for you?
Yeah, it's really no different race than anybody else, to be 100% honest with you. He's Regan's a great teammate, and he's a good racer, very, very smart racer, and he knows what he's looking for in his car each week, and that's great to have. He's helped me a lot this year, and I definitely appreciate each week that we share information, and that's great and all. But when the green flag drops, he's another competitor, and I look at it that way, and he looks at it that way. It wouldn't be any different if I was racing Joey, or if I was racing somebody that was a friend of mine, might help me out. Give me some tips before the race, but when it's time to go racing, it's time to race, and that's no different for Regan or anybody else.
And Joey, I got one nationwide and one Cup question for you. Are you going to be doing nationwide next week too, by the way? In Kansas?
No.
Okay. What is it about this place that 5 years in a row now? You swept twice, previous 2 years, and Carl did it, and now Kyle's done it twice. I mean, what is it about the confidence level or the comfort level? How do you explain 5 straight years of sweeps?
I didn't know that. I know Kyle swept it this time, but I didn't realize it happened so many times. I think it's one of those racetracks when you find what you want in your race car and you know how to work on it in practice to make sure you have that for the race. I think that shows when it comes game time, and I think it's one of those racetracks. You go to certain tracks, and it's always the same guys that run good, right? It's always, whether it's a Cup car or a nationwide car, sometimes you go to certain racetracks, and it's the same 3 or 4 guys every time, no matter what car they're in, what team they're driving for, they're always fast. Dover is one of those racetracks, that you either love it or you hate it. And, thankfully for me, I love this place. I love coming here. And it's something that suits my driving style, and I've been able to figure out in the last few years of what I need in practice to be good in the race, and be able to communicate that to my crew chief great, and to be able to get us a good race car when it comes to game time. It's just why Kyle swept it and we swept it a couple times. I don't know, but I do know it's the same guys that win all the time when you find a racetrack that kind of suits their driving style.
And my Cup question is, I can ask you this because you're assured of the next round. How do you frame the next round? The 3 tracks, you got the 2, Kansas and Charlotte, kind of similar, and then the big one. How do you look at these 3 races coming up?
This is going to be a tough round for sure. You look at Kansas and Talladega. I look at those as a couple wild cards. You look at the way Kansas has been in the past. Has been basically a wreck fest. There's been a lot of crashes, especially early on in the race. So I'd expect that to jumble it up a little bit. Charlotte will be, the typical 1.5 miles, and that's also one of those tracks that the same guys usually are pretty good there all the time. And you guys know which ones those are. And then, Talladega, Lord knows what's going to happen. It's just as the final race in that round, geez, I hope we're locked in because it's going to be stressful. Obviously, we're not going to know what's going to happen. You have to change your strategy up in that race to depending on what position you're in and what you're going to have to do to get into the next round. So pretty much a survival race probably, unless you're so far out of it you have to win. And that's a place when you get desperate for a win, guys are going to make desperate moves and then we all crash. So I'm not really excited about a super speedway being in the chase, and especially in that round.
Final question. All right, gentlemen, congratulations on your runs today.
Thank you.